The cameras were rolling, the music was tense, and fans could almost feel the air getting heavier as Jasmine finally stepped into the spotlight. For weeks, whispers about poly relationships and secret entanglements had been buzzing through Atlanta, and Rasheeda Frost found herself in the middle of yet another storm. This time, though, it wasn't about Kirk's past scandals. It was about a shocking confrontation that would shake the Frost household to its very core. Jasmine came forward not with hesitation, but with boldness, ready to clear her name while also pulling the curtain back on rumors that had refused to die down as she spoke. All eyes turned to Kirk. The man who had been at the center of countless controversies sat stone-faced, almost too quiet, and fans couldn't help but wonder, was it guilt, shock, or just another attempt to dodge accountability? Rasheeda's expression told another story entirely. Her eyes flickered with disbelief, anger, and the exhaustion of a woman who had heard one scandal too many. The room grew hotter, the tension unbearable, and the words Jasmine dropped only fueled the fire. This wasn't just a casual rumor anymore. It was the kind of revelation that could turn a marriage upside down. Jasmine's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Her tone wasn't trembling, her words weren't uncertain. This was a woman who had made up her mind that she wasn't going to let anyone else tell her story. "If I was in something like that," she declared, locking eyes with Rasheeda, "why would I hide it? I don't hide who I am. I never have. Everybody knows I put it all out there. So why would I suddenly start keeping secrets now?" The silence after her words was almost unbearable. The cameras panned across the room, catching every micro-expression, every twitch, every side eye. Rasheeda's face was a storm. She looked stunned for a split second, then angry, then tired all over again. Anyone who had followed her journey over the years could recognize that look. It was the look of a woman who had been dragged through public humiliation more times than she could count, and who now found herself cornered once more in a storyline she didn't ask for. And then there was Kirk. Normally, this man always had a ready excuse, always had some slick comment to try to ease the tension or redirect the attention. But tonight, he sat silent, lips pressed tightly together, his body language guarded. His folded arms and lowered gaze screamed avoidance, and viewers immediately picked up on it. Within minutes of the episode airing, fans lit up social media. "Why so quiet, Kirk?" One comment read, "His silence says it all." Another chimed in. Some even posted memes showing Kirk sitting in a courtroom chair like a man refusing to testify against himself. Rasheeda couldn't take it anymore. She leaned toward him, her voice laced with both anger and desperation. "You're just going to sit here, after everything that's being said, after my name is being dragged through the mud again? You don't have one thing to say. Not one." Her words cracked slightly at the end, showing the pain behind the fury. Kirk shifted in his seat but said nothing. A faint shrug escaped him, as if he believed brushing it off would make it all go away. But it didn't. His silence only magnified the weight of Jasmine's accusations. It was the kind of silence that fans later described as louder than a confession. And Jasmine wasn't stopping there. She leaned forward, eyes blazing, and added another twist to the fire. "Let's be real here. My name didn't just end up in this rumor by accident. Somebody put it there. Somebody wanted this to spread. And that somebody was Yandy." The room practically vibrated at her words. Rasheeda's head snapped up, disbelief flashing across her face. Yandy. Out of all people, Yandy. This was a woman she had broken bread with, a woman she had laughed, and cried with, a woman she had trusted. Now Jasmine was painting her as the puppeteer pulling strings from the shadows, manipulating narratives, and stirring chaos. Jasmine continued, her tone steady but sharp. She sat with me, she overtalked me. She made it sound like I was part of something I wasn't. And for a second, I almost doubted myself. I walked away thinking, did I say something wrong? But when I replayed it in my head, I realized she just wanted to make it seem like what it wasn't. She wanted to create a story, Rasheeda's jaw tightened. She turned her glare toward Kirk, her voice rising. Do you hear this? Do you see what's being said about us? About me? And you're just going to sit there like none of this matters? Still. Kirk's lips barely parted. His eyes darted briefly toward Jasmine, then down at the floor. The man who had once tried to sweet-talk his way out of countless scandals had nothing this time. Not even a denial. Not even a flimsy excuse. Rasheeda slammed her hand against the armrest, the sharp crack echoing through the room. Her patience was hanging by a thread, and the cameras caught every second of it. Fans watching at home could feel her frustration radiating through the screen. This wasn't just television drama, it was raw, messy, and personal. Meanwhile, Jasmine leaned back in her chair, her lips curling into a smirk that only fueled the fire. She knew the power of what she had said. She knew Kirk's silence was as damning as any accusation she could make. All I'm saying is, if it was happening, why pretend? Why act like it's some dirty little secret? If you're grown, be grown. But don't put my name in it if it's not real. Rasheeda shot her a glare sharp enough to cut diamonds. Sit there and act like you're innocent in all this. You knew what you were doing when you entertained those conversations. You let yourself get dragged into this mess. But Jasmine didn't flinch. She tilted her head, calm but defiant. No, what I did was defend myself. What I did was refuse to let someone else define me. If you think I wanted to be in this storyline, you're wrong. But since my name's already out there, I might as well tell the truth. The tension between the two women was electric. Every word, every look, every pause was loaded with years of history, mistrust, and betrayal. And in the middle of it all sat Kirk, silent, shrinking further into the background, as if hoping the storm would pass him by. But the storm wasn't going anywhere. Outside that room, whispers were growing louder. Castmates, friends, and even fans were piecing together their own theories. Some believed Jasmine's side, claiming her straightforwardness made her more credible. Others argued that she was stirring the pot for attention, trying to secure her spot in the storyline. And then there were those who turned their suspicion toward Yandy, questioning whether she had indeed planted seeds to deflect from her own marriage troubles. But no matter which theory you believed, one thing was clear. The Frost marriage was, once again, being tested in front of millions. And this time, the cracks in their foundation were visible for all to see. Rasheeda's fury was raw and real, her patience visibly thinning. Kirk's silence wasn't just frustrating, it was damning. And Jasmine's boldness made sure there was no going back. The episode's tension didn't end there. As the night, war on Jasmine's comments continued to replay in everyone's minds. If it was happening, why hide it? She had said. Fans dissected that line endlessly, some interpreting it as Jasmine daring the Frosts to admit the truth, others seeing it as her final nail in the coffin of the rumor. And all the while, Rasheeda's expression, caught forever on camera, told a story of a woman who was fed up, who was tired of defending her marriage, and who wasn't sure how much longer she could keep fighting by the time the cameras cut away. Viewers were left buzzing with questions. Why was Kirk so silent? Was Jasmine exposing something real or just stirring chaos? Was Yandy really pulling strings or was Jasmine deflecting? And most importantly, could Rasheeda survive yet another round of betrayal, rumors, and unanswered questions? The fallout from Jasmine's words didn't just end in that room. Once the clip spread, it became the centerpiece of every conversation, both on and off screen. Viewers dissected it like detectives, each person convinced they had the real truth. Social media exploded with hashtags, memes, and endless debates about what Jasmine really meant and why Kirk chose to sit in silence. For many fans, that silence wasn't a protective move, was proof that there was more to the story than anyone was admitting. Inside the Frost household, the energy was completely different. Rasheeda couldn't let it go.
After the cameras
stopped rolling, she confronted Kirk with the anger of a woman who had been through this cycle one too many times. "You think staying quiet makes you innocent?" she asked him, her voice low but sharp. "All it does is make me look like a fool again." Kirk rubbed his face, sighing heavily, but his words came out slow and calculated. "Sometimes the best thing is not to feed it. If I start talking, it just becomes bigger." But Rasheeda wasn't buying it. Her eyes narrowed, her frustration boiling over. "No. The best thing is to defend your marriage. The best thing is to shut down lies when they're spoken in your face. You don't just sit there like you've been caught." Fans who claimed to have overheard them at later events said the argument stretched beyond that moment. Rasheeda reportedly told friends that she felt abandoned by her husband, that every time her name got dragged through the dirt, she was left to fight alone while Kirk slipped back into the shadows. The whispers of divorce started creeping back into the conversation, with people wondering if this scandal would finally be the one to push Rasheeda to her breaking point. Meanwhile, Jasmine seemed to be thriving in the chaos. She wasn't hiding, she wasn't backtracking, she was doubling down. At a gathering with a few other cast members, she repeated the same line she had said in front of Rasheeda. "If it was happening, I wouldn't hide it. That's not who I am." And then she added a twist that left everyone stunned. "If anything, I think some people out here are more worried about their own situation, so they want to use me as a distraction." It was a not-so-subtle jab at Yandy by implying that Yandy's marriage was in trouble and that she was pushing blame onto Jasmine. She redirected the spotlight in a way that made people question everything. And when word of this got back to Yandy, the fire spread even further. Yandy wasn't about to let her name get dragged without a response. In a confessional-style segment, she shot back, "Look, Jasmine can say what she wants, but I don't put people's business out there. If she's feeling guilty, that's on her. Don't put my marriage in it just because you want to deflect." The back and forth created an entirely new feud, with fans split down the middle about who was telling the truth. While all of this played out, Kirk remained in the background, avoiding interviews, avoiding comments, avoiding direct eye contact. The one time he did speak publicly, he kept it vague. People will say what they want. "Hey, no, my truth, and that's all that matters." But those words only added fuel to the fire. If he knew his truth, why not share it? Why let his wife twist in the wind while the world speculated? Rasheeda's reaction was far more visible. She took to social media with cryptic posts, quotes, about loyalty, about self-respect, about being tired of lies. Fans immediately linked every word to Kirk, assuming she was sending subliminal shots at her husband. One particular post read, "Silence is still an answer, and sometimes it's the worst one." The comments section blew up, with thousands of fans urging her to leave him, telling her she deserved better, and predicting that this was the beginning of the end. But if Rasheeda was considering walking away, she wasn't showing it outright. On camera, she still held her composure, still presented herself as the strong businesswoman who refused to let scandal define her. Yet behind that strength was a very real vulnerability, and Jasmine's words had carved a wound deeper than most. Realized at the next group event, tensions came to a boiling point. Jasmine showed up looking unbothered, while Rasheeda kept her distance. Kirk hovered in the middle, avoiding eye contact with both women. The air was thick with anticipation, and it didn't take long for sparks to fly. "You got a lot to say." When I'm not around, Rasheeda finally snapped at Jasmine across the room. "So why don't you say it to my face now?" Jasmine didn't hesitate. She walked right up, her voice calm but cutting. "I already did. You just don't want to hear it. What I said was the truth. If something was happening, I wouldn't hide it. And if you think I'm the problem, maybe you need to look a little closer to home." The crowd gasped, the tension thick enough to choke on. Rasheeda's face hardened, her eyes blazing. "Don't you dare try to put this on me." You came into my life, into my marriage, and now you're acting like you're the victim. No, ma'am. That's not how this works. But Jasmine wasn't. Backing down, I didn't come into your marriage. Your marriage was already cracked before my name even came up. Don't blame me for what was already broken. Kirk shifted uncomfortably, muttering under his breath. This is crazy, man. But his attempt to defuse the situation only made it worse. Rasheeda spun on him, her voice dripping with disbelief. Oh, now you've got something to say. Now you want to speak up when it's convenient. The room fell silent again, all eyes on Kirk. But once more, he clammed up, shaking his head and refusing to elaborate. The cycle repeated, accusations flying, emotions boiling, and Kirk retreating into silence that left everyone more suspicious than before. By the end of the night, the Frost marriage looked shakier than ever. Jasmine walked away with her head held high, her reputation both questioned and solidified in the same breath. Yandy fumed from the sidelines, furious at being dragged into a mess she insisted wasn't hers. And Rasheeda once again was left standing in the wreckage of her husband's silence, her anger simmering hotter with each passing moment. Fans online summed it up perfectly. Jasmine may have lit the fire, but Kirk's silence is what burned the house down. The ripple effects of that confrontation didn't stop at the event. By the next morning, phones were buzzing, group chats were exploding, and everyone in the love and hip-hop circle had an opinion. Some friends called Rasheeda to check in. Others messaged Jasmine for her side, and a few quietly reached out to Kirk, hoping to understand why he had chosen silence when the entire situation was begging for clarity. For Rasheeda, the pressure was unbearable. Not only was her marriage under the microscope again, but now the loyalty of her friendships was being questioned. She sat with her cousin at the kitchen table, scrolling through comments online, shaking her head. "I can't keep doing this," she muttered. "Every time I start to rebuild, something else comes crashing down." Her cousin leaned in, trying to reassure her. "People are going to talk regardless." "But sis, you can't keep letting him sit back like nothing's happening. You've carried this marriage on your back. At some point, he has to fight for it too." Tears welled in Rasheeda's eyes, though she quickly wiped them away. "I'm so tired of being embarrassed. I'm tired of people laughing at me, like I'm some kind of fool, okay?" And he just sits there acting like silence fixes everything. Meanwhile, Jasmine wasn't slowing down. She was spotted at another gathering, sipping her drink with confidence while the topic of conversation swirled around her. When someone asked why she thought Kirk refused to speak, she raised an eyebrow and smirked. Maybe silence is an answer. Maybe he's not denying it because he knows it's true. Her words, dripping with implication, sent shockwaves through the group. Whether she meant it as fact or just shade, it gave the rumor mill even more. Fuel Yandy, on the other hand, had had enough. She called Bambi on the phone, her voice sharp. "She's not about to keep throwing my name into this mess. I have my own life, my own marriage, my own problems. Why does she keep saying I'm the one twisting stories?" Bambi tried to play mediator, but even she admitted Jasmine wasn't holding back. "Look, I think she just wants to get her side out. But I won't lie, the way she's talking, it's making you look like the bad guy." Yandy was furious. "I'm not about to sit back while someone tries to make me look like I'm behind all this. If she keeps my name in her mouth, I'm going to have to check her myself." Back in the Frost home, Kirk tried to play it cool, but the walls were closing in. Rasheeda confronted him again, this time with raw emotions spilling over. "Do you even care how I look right now? Do you care that people are saying I'm in some messy relationship, that I'm letting women disrespect me on camera?" Kirk exhaled heavily, rubbing his temples. "I care. Of course I care. But I'm not going to let myself get dragged into every argument. Sometimes saying nothing is better." Rasheeda slammed her hand down on the counter, her voice rising. "No, saying nothing is what makes people think you're guilty. Saying nothing is what makes me look like I'm standing here defending a man who won't even defend himself. You've put me through too much, Kirk. Too much." Her words cracked. Mid-sentence, the pain of years of betrayal leaking out in that moment. And still, Kirk didn't give her what she wanted. He didn't raise his voice, didn't offer a heartfelt apology. Instead, he shrugged, muttering, "People are always going to talk. Let them." That night, Rasheeda posted another cryptic message. On her social media, a woman can only carry so much weight before she puts it down. Fans immediately speculated it was about Kirk, and the comments section erupted with support. "Leave him, Queen. You deserve better." Kirk's silence speaks volumes. As the days passed, the Frosts weren't the only ones affected. Their kids began to notice the tension, asking questions that Rasheeda struggled to answer. A close family friend revealed that the couple's son overheard arguments and asked, "Why is everybody saying bad stuff about Dad?" The pain in Rasheeda's eyes when she heard that question told the story of a woman torn between protecting her children and confronting her reality. Jasmine, meanwhile, leaned into the chaos. She gave a subtle interview-style comment saying, "I'm not here to break anyone's marriage. I just refuse to be painted as something I'm not. If they want to keep dragging me, I'll keep defending myself." Fans were divided. Some praised her for standing firm. Others accused her of pouring gasoline on a fire just for attention. But it was Kirk's silence that became the central focus of every conversation. Even those who didn't believe Jasmine began to wonder why he wouldn't just deny it outright. If nothing happened, why not say it? Fans tweeted endlessly. Others suggested that maybe Kirk didn't want to lie on camera, and that's why he chose to say nothing at all. The speculation only grew. And the Frost marriage became the hottest topic of the season at the next filming event. Producers made sure the Frosts, Jasmine, and Yandy ended up in the same space. The tension was electric, the air heavy with anticipation. Yandy arrived determined, her voice firm as she approached Jasmine. "I don't appreciate you dragging me into your mess. I, my own life, my own husband. Keep my name out of your mouth. Name out of your mouth." Jasmine smirked, her response dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, so now you're the victim. Funny how you're the one always in the middle of everybody's business. But when it backfires, suddenly it's not your fault." The room erupted. Rasheeda, already fuming from her own battles, jumped in. "Both of y'all need to leave me out of this. My marriage is not your storyline. Stop talking about me. Stop talking about us." But Jasmine wasn't done. "Then tell your husband to speak up. Tell him to stop sitting there like he's guilty. 'Cause his silence is the reason everyone believes it." The words hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. Rasheeda froze, her chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. All eyes turned to Kirk, waiting, begging for him to finally break his silence. But he didn't. He shifted uncomfortably, rubbed his chin, and muttered, "I don't need to prove anything to anybody." Gasps filled the room. Rasheeda's face twisted with disbelief. "Not even to your wife?" she asked, her voice breaking. The pain in her tone was undeniable, and for the first time, Kirk looked like he might crack. But instead of offering clarity, he turned and walked away, leaving the women standing there in stunned silence. That walkout became the defining moment of the episode. Fans immediately took to social media, declaring it the ultimate sign of guilt. Memes flooded timelines, showing Kirk walking away with captions like, "When silence is your only defense," and "the walk of shame." Others speculated that Rasheeda had finally reached her limit, with hashtags like #RASHEEDA deserves better trending overnight. Behind the cameras, Rasheeda's friends huddled around her, trying to comfort her as she wiped tears from her eyes. Jasmine stood back, arms folded, clearly satisfied that her point had been made. Yandy shook her head, muttering, "This is exactly what I didn't want." The scene was pure chaos, a storm of emotions and accusations that left everyone rattled. And yet, even after all that, Kirk remained silent. His refusal to defend himself, his refusal to defend his wife, became the story of the season. The walkout left the room frozen in stunned silence. But the storm had only just begun. Rasheeda stood there, her hands trembling as she tried to steady herself. She had been humiliated before, but this time felt different. This wasn't just a scandal in the blogs. This wasn't just whispers at the club. This was her husband walking, away from her, choosing silence over protection in front of everyone. The sting of that moment cut deeper than any rumor could. Later that night, Rasheeda sat alone, scrolling through her phone, watching the clips replay again and again. Every angle of Kirk's walkout was being posted, dissected, mocked. Fans turned his silence into a punchline, while others pointed out the heartbreak on Rasheeda's face. "I've stood by him through everything," she whispered to herself, "and this is what I get." The tears she tried to hold back all day finally broke free, rolling down her cheeks as the weight of years of betrayal pressed down on her chest. Meanwhile, Jasmine was basking in the aftershock. She told a group of friends, "I just told the truth. That's all I did. If they can't handle it, that's not on me." Her confidence only stirred the pot further, and while some applauded her for speaking her truth, others accused her of exploiting the cracks in the Frost marriage for her own spotlight. Either way, Jasmine had made herself the center of the conversation, and she knew it. Yandy, however, was livid. She called a meeting with a few castmates to clear her name, her tone fiery. "I'm not about to let Jasmine rewrite history. She's trying to use me to cover herself, and I won't stand for it. My marriage is not perfect, but I don't drag other people down to make myself look better." Her words rang strong, but the damage was already done. Fans were now questioning her, analyzing her every move, wondering if she had really manipulated Jasmine the way Jasmine claimed up the next time the Frosts appeared on camera. Their body language spoke volumes. Rasheeda sat stiffly, arms crossed, her tone clipped whenever she spoke. Kirk, on the other hand, avoided eye contact, speaking in vague generalities that gave nothing away. When a producer asked directly about the rumors, Rasheeda's face hardened. "I'm not going to keep explaining myself. At the end of the day, I know my worth. People want to believe lies, that's on them. But my patience has limits." Kirk simply added, "People talk. That's what they do." His casual dismissal sent Rasheeda's eyes rolling so hard it was almost audible. Fans online immediately sided with her, flooding her comments with messages of support. "Sis, you don't need him," one fan wrote. Another said, "Your silence is strength. His silence is weakness." The tension at home began to seep into their businesses as well. Employees at their clothing store whispered about arguments behind closed doors. And some even claimed that Rasheeda had been showing up, more often without Kirk by her side. Two outsiders. It looked like a power shift Rasheeda taking charge while Kirk faded further into the background. But the most explosive twist came at a dinner party a few weeks later. Castmates gathered around the table, drinks flowing, laughter mixing with tension. As the night wore on, the topic everyone had been avoiding finally surfaced again. Someone jokingly mentioned the word poly, and the table erupted into awkward laughter. That was all it took for Rasheeda to snap. "Do y'all think this is funny?" she demanded, her voice slicing through the chatter. "Do y'all think? My marriage is a joke. I've put up with more than enough, and now I've got to sit here while people laugh about rumors that aren't even true." Jasmine leaned back in her chair, smirking. "If it's not true, then why are you so pressed? Why does it bother you so much if it's just a lie?" The room fell quiet, all eyes bouncing between the two women. Rasheeda's face flushed with anger. "'Cause I've been disrespected for years. 'Cause I've had to sit through humiliation. After humiliation while people dragged my name. Okay, and now you sit here bold as ever, acting like you're the victim. You don't know what it's like to have to fight for your marriage in front of the whole world." Watch. Jasmine's smirk faded slightly, but her tone stayed sharp. "And maybe you should ask yourself why you keep having to fight for it. Maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe the problem is sitting right next to you." The table gasped. Rasheeda's eyes shot to Kirk, who was staring down at his plate, refusing to meet her gaze. "Say something," Rasheeda shouted, her voice breaking under. the weight of frustration. Tell me right now this is a lie. Tell them all it's not true. The cameras zoomed in on Kirk, waiting for his answer. The entire room held its breath. But once again, Kirk Frost chose silence. He shifted in his chair, rubbed his chin, and muttered, "I don't need to explain myself." Then he pushed back his chair and stood up, leaving Rasheeda in tears and the rest of the cast in utter disbelief. Fans described it as the most shocking moment of the season. Memes flooded the internet, with Kirk labeled the silent husband, and Rasheeda dubbed the strong one left alone. Viewers debated endlessly. Was Kirk hiding something, or was he simply tired of feeding into the drama? Either way, his silence became the symbol of everything wrong in their marriage. In the days that followed, Rasheeda stopped wearing her wedding ring in public. Paparazzi caught her at events solo, looking fierce but distant. Rumors swirled that she was considering separation, and while she never confirmed it, her cryptic posts only fueled speculation. "A woman's peace is priceless," one post read. Fans flooded the comments with encouragement, telling her to walk away, to choose herself. Jasmine, on the other hand, reveled in the attention. She posted selfies with captions like "unbothered" and "truth always comes out," sparking endless debates in the comments. Some praised her courage, others accused her of destroying a family. Yandy continued to defend herself, posting about loyalty and honesty, insisting she had nothing to do with the chaos. But no matter how the blame shifted, the Frosts remained at the center of the storm. Their marriage was, once again, the headline, once again, the storyline, once again, the question on everyone's lips. Would Rasheeda finally leave, or would she continue to stand by Kirk despite his silence? The season ended without resolution, leaving fans desperate for answers. Rasheeda walked out of the final scene with her head high, her words echoing in the air. "I deserve better, and I know it." Kirk stayed behind, his silence louder than ever, his eyes downcast as if carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. Jasmine smiled knowingly, her role in the chaos secured. And Yandy, frustrated and fuming, vowed to set the record straight. Once and for all, the credits rolled. But the drama was far from over. The silence of Kirk Frost has become the loudest headline of the season, leaving fans divided and Rasheeda standing at a crossroads. Jasmine may have sparked the fire with her bold accusations, but it was Kirk's refusal to speak that turned whispers into full-blown speculation. Yandy's name remains tangled in the mess. Fans can't stop debating who's really telling the truth. And through it all, the Frost marriage hangs by a thread. One thing is certain, this story is far from finished. Rasheeda's cryptic posts, Kirk's walkouts, and Jasmine's unapologetic confidence all point to a storm that's still brewing. Will Rasheeda finally decide that enough is enough? Will Kirk ever break his silence and defend his marriage? And how deep does Yandy's involvement really go? These are the questions everyone is asking, and the answers could change everything for love and hip-hop Atlanta. But what do you think? Do you believe Kirk's silence is guilt? Or is it simply a man tired of feeding into rumors? Was Jasmine speaking her truth, or just stirring the pot for attention? And does Yandy have more to explain than she's letting on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because we want to hear from you. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're shocked by how this drama unfolded. And make sure you're subscribed so you never miss the next explosive update. Turn on your notifications, because if this season has shown us anything, it's that the drama doesn't stop when the cameras cut it, only gets louder. This is one story you'll want to keep your eyes on, because the Frost's silence today could become tomorrow's biggest confession.